नहीं जी ये लोग होता है टाइपिंग में मैसेज टू इंडिविजुअल ऑफ द डू I'm in chat. अच्छा
Just to whoever you want.
Vistasp.
हाँ जी
Go ahead.
You want to start?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good evening or good morning, as the case may be. Welcome to the webinar organized by the Youth Wing of the Mumbai Chapter of the World Jarthosti Chamber of Commerce, better known as WZCC, on strategies to find the job you are looking for. The youth have started an initiative of jobs for every Zoroastrian, which has been welcomed by one and all. But the task is an uphill one. For it's acknowledged that in spite of artificial intelligence and robotics in the workplace, nothing is more important than hiring and developing the people who run them. I remember Renee West of the Luxor Hotel of Las Vegas saying that one may have the best strategy and workplace, but if they do not have the hearts and minds of the people who work for the company, none of it comes to life. Thus, HR has a big responsibility on its shoulders. HR has now become a science by itself, but we will concentrate only today on one aspect, the recruitment. Today, in our midst, we have two professional HR personnel who will be sharing their expertise and enlightening us on how to ace the competition of getting the job. Now, before we go any further, I would like to remind everyone that if you have any questions for the panel, please put it in the chat, and at the end of the session, we will take up the questions one by one. I would like to now introduce the panel. First is Havovi Patel, 15 years of corporate experience in HR, L&D, and business development roles. She has a deep understanding of the opportunities and challenges present by the corporate world. Having successfully done a lot of work in the area of team building, she believes teamwork works. As a coach, she supports individuals in facilitating positive change towards reaching their full potential. Havovi, will you please take over? The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Vistasp. I'd like to first of all thank WZCC for giving me this opportunity today, and thank you all of you for logging into this webinar. I'm very excited to share with you whatever I know, and I'm sure it'll help you. I'll just take a minute to share my screen. Can I have a thumbs up if you can see my screen, please? Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about two topics today. One is building a strong social media presence, and the other is acing the job interview. So let me first start by building a strong social media presence. And before I do that, I'd like to talk about a few statistics. So pay attention to these statistics because they say a lot about which platform we should use. 92% of interviewers use social media platforms to learn more about the applicant. And out of that, 87% use LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, there are 2 new members every second. There are over 50 million companies and 20 million open job listings. So needless to say, our focus area should be LinkedIn because that is the platform for corporate professionals. I should mention here that Facebook is also looked at and it is second, but it's not a close second. So in our discussion today, I will be focusing on how we can build a strong social media presence on LinkedIn. What I like to say always is about building the profile which reflects the authentic you. It's all about you after all. So LinkedIn has a lot of sections, and the first and topmost section that you will see right below your name is what we call the headline. Have a strong headline. It could either be your designation and your role, for example, senior manager, corporate communication, or it could be your specialization, for example, corporate banking professional. The next thing you should focus on is to complete your profile. Make sure that all your experience is listed on LinkedIn. Make sure that all the education institutions that you've been to are also listed and all your certifications are also mentioned. This gives a holistic perspective of who you are as a corporate professional. What LinkedIn also has is an about section. This gives you a lot more space to describe yourself and your professional aspects. So go ahead and write it well, give it enough thought so that the crux of your experience is mentioned there. And in about 3 or 4 sentences, you're able to convey what your capability is to your prospective employer. Listing of skills and your professional achievements. Now you may wonder what is the importance of listing all your skills on LinkedIn. You may put 3 or 4 and you'll stop there. But I would suggest don't do that. Make sure that all the skills that are relevant to you are mentioned so that when a corporate or an employer does a search on LinkedIn for a particular role or a profession, your profile pops up. So the longer the list of skills you have, the more the probability of your profile popping up in case of a search. Another beautiful section that LinkedIn has is the volunteer experience section. And I would recommend everyone to put in any kind of work that they're doing in the volunteering space and their interests in that section, because that really shows what your overall personality is about and what you do outside of your work. After all, it is your overall capability and your overall personality that you even take to work. Profile picture. This may look like a very simple thing, but if I look at a LinkedIn profile which doesn't have a picture, the first thing that comes to my mind is that the profile is incomplete. And I will assume that the rest of the information will also be incomplete, so I won't look at it. Therefore, as the saying goes, a picture speaks 1,000 words. Make sure that you put a professional photograph on LinkedIn, which is preferably a headshot, not a very long shot standing probably in a picnic with friends. Keep away from all personal photographs and try and put a professional photograph which really kind of shows your confidence and shows who you really are. So that's a little bit about building the authentic you on LinkedIn. Let me dive a little bit more into this topic and also take up the issue of showcasing your individuality. So why is this important? LinkedIn is not only about liking people's posts. It's more about sharing your thoughts. It's important to let people know what are your perspectives on the topic. Even if you like someone's post, also put a comment with it, sharing why you like it, what part of you did it touch. And eventually, as you build your profile, start working towards building thought leadership, but make sure you're not offensive or too radical in your thoughts. So the idea is to move to thought leadership, and the starting point is sharing your thoughts on what other people are talking about. LinkedIn is all about network. So how do you build your network on LinkedIn? The first step would be to identify companies and professionals whom you want to connect with. Also, it would be a good idea to personalize your connection request, because the chances of a personalized request getting accepted are far, far higher than one which does not have your request. Seek recommendations. So LinkedIn has a section where people can recommend your skills. Why is this important? This is important because this is a very authentic way of showcasing your capability. It is important to ask people who have experienced your skills, such as your colleagues, your ex-colleagues, your suppliers, your vendors, people who've worked with you and who know how professionally you work. It would be great for prospective employers to look at what all of them have to say about you. So with these few words, I think your impressive profile is on its way, and you're on your way to having your profile come up in maximum searches when your prospective employers look for you. Now that you've built your profile and you're sure to get that interview call, let's look at how to make the most of that interview opportunity. So the next topic that I'm going to talk about is how to ace that interview. And the very first thing that I'd like to share with you is, what do organizations want? I'm going to throw up a list of skills here that research shows that organizations are looking for in their employees, especially in the post-COVID era. So here's what people are looking for. When you see some of it written in bold, you will understand that these are the skills that keep repeatedly coming up in a lot of surveys and in a lot of conversations that I've had with my corporate colleagues and friends. So ability to self-learn is very critical. Leading and engaging, not only with your teams, but also with your vendors, also with your clients in a virtual world. Again, this is a skill that is really in demand. And dealing with ambiguity. One doesn't know how the business scenario is going to change tomorrow. So they want people who can deal with this kind of ambiguity. Now, why am I telling you this? I think this is important to note because when you are talking and presenting yourself in an interview, if you have these skills and you've demonstrated them in any of your corporate experience, it would make a lot of sense to showcase this. And that's why it's important to know what organizations want so that you can match it with the skills that you have and present yourself better. So what can you do now? Let's focus on you. I'm sure this first slide will tell you what I think about the preparation step. As they say, failing to prepare and failing to plan is definitely planning to fail. So all of my colleagues that I spoke to, and I did a little dipstick on what they expect from their interviewees, the most important thing that came up is that we want people to be prepared, especially with what the company is about, especially with what the role is about. So I'm going to deep dive into this topic and take a lot of time to share with you what I think you should prepare for. And I have organized my thoughts in the order of what I think is most important. So if we fall short of time, the last few points I can run through quickly, but I'll pay a lot of attention to the prepare step. The first idea that I'd like to share with you is be prepared with your best 5. What is best 5? Your best 5 is really your top 5 success stories, solid aspects of your work where you've made a difference, where you've contributed, and where you've achieved success. It could be a project you've worked on, it could be a client you've acquired, but the important part to focus on is those skills which have made you succeed in that situation. Once you have these top 5 and your best 5 listed out and thought through, you will be able to use them in a lot of contexts in your interview, and we'll see how. I already spoke a little bit about this, and it's extremely important to research about the company that you're applying to. What are the aspects of the company? I'll come to that, but another quick statistic. 47% of employers will refrain from hiring somebody who knows nothing about the company that they are applying for. Important for you to note. Now, what about the company should you research? Definitely their performance and their numbers, the top line, their products. Also look at values. If they've shared corporate values, it would be great to know what they stand for. Who are their key people? What have they been in the news for recently? What are the awards that they have received? And also take time to prepare and read on the department that you're applying for. What does the team do? How are they structured? And a little more information about the team. The next we come to job description. I have also noticed in my experience, and the same thing has been echoed by my colleagues, that many interviewees come for the interview without reading the job description in detail. For example, the job description will have something about being required to go out in the market and acquire clients. You may not have read that. Now you're likely to go into the interview and say, oh, I didn't know this has a sales aspect to it. I'm not keen on looking at sales. I think it would be a waste of your time as well as the employer's time. So it would be extremely important to read the job description very carefully. Ask whatever questions you have about the profile to the consultant or to the company's HR who's contacted you, like your work location, your reporting line, your interviewer, etc. Don't ask the interviewer basic details that are already mentioned in the job description. Your fitment to the role. This is where you can really add value. Think about your past experience that can help you contribute to this role that you're applying to. What is your value proposition? And remember I spoke about the best 5? This is where you can start to use them. Bring out aspects of your best 5 that would help you fit into this role. Powerhouse questions. There are 2 or 3 very simple questions which we sometimes don't pay too much attention to, but these are the powerhouse of information. First and foremost, tell me about yourself or take me through your resume. So here's what you can do. You can have a 2-minute elevator pitch, prepare that well, time yourself and deliver it at the appropriate time. What I would suggest is don't start from the very beginning in terms of I was born in this city and I went to this school and then I went to this college and then I did my MBA and then I started my job. It's taken away the crux of the interviewer's attention. My suggestion would be to focus on your highermost education and then delve directly into your job experience, your work experience. If you have anything interesting that you'd like to talk about, which will help you steer the conversation, then use that. For example, I would love to use the fact that I have studied in Indonesia. There was so much I could talk about. There was so much I had learned that I would love to bring out that aspect and then steer the conversation in that direction. So you could do something like that. The other question that can come up is strengths and areas of improvement. Again, use your best 5 over here. What are your strengths? Your best 5 are truly your strengths, and the skills that have helped you get there are your strengths. Instead of using normal terminologies and run-of-the-mill words like team worker, why don't you say you're a great collaborator? And give an example of a project that you've done where you have had to collaborate with a number of people in your organization and outside, and use that success story to talk about the strength. About the interviewer. Why is this important? It would be great to look at the interviewer's profile, probably on LinkedIn, to know a little bit more about him or her. You might find some common points which you might be able to use to build a better connect. Who knows? Subject matter fundamentals. This is a very basic point. I still thought I should say this because it's extremely important that as a technical person, whatever we do, we know our fundamentals very well. That's not an area in which you can fumble and say, I don't know. So here's everything that you should prepare for. What are the other things that you should focus on if you want to really do well in your interview? Post-COVID interviews. I think the scenario has changed and we should not expect face-to-face interviews coming up for a very long time now. The focus will be on telephonic interviews and the next round may be a video call. But I think all of us should really be prepared for telephonic interviews. And why do I say we need to prepare? Because neither can your expressions be seen, nor can your gestures be seen, which communicate a lot when you're speaking. When you're only on the phone, I think your voice modulation, your tonality, and most importantly, your clarity of thought. That is what matters. So focus on how you will give interviews telephonically. If you need to partner with a buddy and practice this skill, I think it's going to be of great value. Another point which not too many people will talk about, but I love talking about this, is confidentiality. As an interviewer, I would be very happy to get as much information as I can about the company that you're working with, your team, your targets, your customers, your strategies, whatever I can get. Why not? That's how I get to understand the market. But as an interviewee, I would pay utmost attention to maintaining confidentiality of aspects that I should not be disclosing. So strategies, targets, new products coming up, probably a new role that your team is looking for. I wouldn't be very happy to discuss that. And trust me, your integrity at the end of the day will really be appreciated by the interviewer. Saying I'll have to find out is okay. No one is expected to know everything. If there is an aspect which you don't know, for example, the political scenario in a country or the economy of a particular country or a very, very technical aspect, it's fine to say, here's what I know about it. It's very basic at the moment, but I'm happy to research more and I will deep dive into this topic. At the moment, this is all I know about it. I think that will be more appreciated than rambling and talking about something which you're not sure about and losing your confidence in the bargain. And that brings me to confidence. Now, if you've prepared well for your interview on all the aspects that we spoke about, you're already going to feel very confident because of your preparation. The other aspects that can showcase your confidence is also your grooming. Go well groomed for an interview, even if it may be a video call. Make sure that you're well dressed, you're well presented, your background looks good, you don't have any disturbances, and make sure, like I said, you're groomed well, your dressing is taken care of, and your body language is good. A strong handshake is something that is really appreciated. No one likes to shake hands, with a weak handshake, a sweaty hand. So make sure you take care of those small things. And your resume. Please don't take out a 4-folded resume from your shirt pocket and hand it over to the employer. Have a nice, crisp copy of it in a proper folder and present it when asked for it. But I have a little more to say about confidence. While all of this will give you a lot of confidence, what will really show what you know is your understanding that you are bringing value to the table and to that role. Even if you're a fresher, just graduating out of college or out of MBA, don't think, what can I contribute to this role? You can. You can contribute by your hard work. You can contribute by being committed. You can contribute by bringing a fresh perspective to the company and to the team. In fact, that's exactly why corporates hire freshers from campus, because that's the aspect that they want to bring in. And if you're already an experienced professional, making notes on your past experience and how you can add value is going to take your confidence level up 4-fold. So that's what I have to say about confidence. Now, this again is very important. Knowing when to stop. How do you know how much information you've given? How do you know how little to speak? How do you know when to stop when you're asked a question? So one little tip I'd like to share is to observe what you're saying. When in an answer to a question, you start repeating yourself and your points, it's time to realize you've run out of what you had to say, and it would be a good time to stop. It's fine it's fine if there's a little silence in the room. Be comfortable with the silence because the interviewer is absorbing what you're saying, making his notes, and he's then going to be ready to ask you the next question. Ask relevant questions. So ask questions about the growth path in the company. How does this role grow? How long does it take to get to the next level? What are you expected to do to get to the next level? Ask about policies of the organization. But please don't ask questions such as, is Saturday working? What are your official work timings? I think the corporate world has moved far away from 9 to 5, and that's not the scene anymore. If there is work pressure, if there is a deadline, you will be expected to work much beyond what is expected, even on weekends. And I think all of us should be ready to do that. It doesn't mean that there's no work-life boundary or balance, but work pressure demanding, I think all of us should be ready to go the extra mile. A quick tip on salary discussions. The first thing is to go prepared. You need to know what your current salary is. It's not very good to say, I'm not sure what my current structure is. I'll go back and come back to you. Have that prepared. Write it down if you need to. You will also be asked about your expectation. When it comes to that, be ambitious, I agree, but be realistic as well. Throwing a very illogical number will not help you in any way. So know the market, know the industry, and make a realistic, share a relevant, realistic expectation. My next point is about how do you end the interview? Obviously, after thanking the interviewer, have the expectations set on who is going to call whom. Are you expected to call them and check on the status? If yes, then ask when you should contact them. If they say they will contact you, again, you should ask, by when can I expect a call from you? So if they give you a timeline, please be patient enough, wait for that timeline, and then make your call. Here's something that I thought I should throw into this discussion, very briefly though. Not joining after accepting the offer. Friends, this is a very unprofessional thing to do. Making the organization wait for you for a month or 3 months and then on the day of joining saying you're not joining is a huge risk. There are many organizations who would blacklist your profile. Even the headhunter will not forward your resume if such a thing happens. It's fine not to accept the offer, but do it within a shorter timeline. Do it within a more acceptable timeline by planning, letting them know of your thoughts, and also giving a valid reason for why you're not keen on joining. Don't leave them in the lurch. Do you really want that job? And why do I put this in the interview section? Because while you are going for that interview with the whole objective of bagging that role, is it really something that you want? This is a great opportunity to get hints and to get perspectives about the company when you go for that interview. So the very first thing is that when you go for an interview, most likely you will have to walk past the office floor to get to the interviewer's cabin. That's a great opportunity to get a perspective of what the employees are like. Are they friendly? Are they talking to each other? Do they look happy? Are you hearing any abuses being hurled around the floor? These would give you indications of the culture of the organization. In your interview, also ask questions about the organization culture and about the role. How did the role come about? Did somebody leave? Or is it a new role? If it's a new role, then what was the thought process behind that new role coming up? What are the plans? Is it a long-term opportunity that they see? This will give you a perspective of the organization's thinking process. This is a very self-explanatory sentence, but I thought it necessary to be mentioned here. please don't change who you are. Just be yourself, be your authentic self. Because even though you may bag the interview by planning and preparing and not being who you are and showcasing yourself in a completely different light, somewhere down the line, when you are in that job, it will come and bite you in the back. So I would really recommend be authentic and be yourself. And as I end my presentation, I'd like to say, please take time to reflect. Whether you get to the next level of the interview, whether you bag that job or not, take time to think about what went well, what did you do well, what are the questions you could answer, where could you prepare and plan more. Reflection is the best way to learn and to get to the next level as you move forward in your corporate journey. With this, friends, I come to the end of my presentation. I'd like to say, as a coach, I'd be happy to support you in your journey as you unleash your full potential. Wishing you all the best in your job hunt. Thank you very much for your patient learning. I'd like to hand over back to Vistas.
Thank you, Havovi. That was a great insight. I'm sure everyone will take something back home and practice it.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Zubin Treasuryvala, an ex-HR department head of a leading wellness company. Over 15 years experience as regional, zonal, and national talent acquisition roles in BFSI. Since 2010, he's the director and CEO of Treasure Hunters People Solutions. Master Headhunter and Talent Acquisition Specialist, conducts more than 5,000 interviews across all levels. Zubin, I give you the platform. Zubin?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vistasp. I really appreciate, in fact, Havovi, fantastic, points which you've just mentioned. I will definitely add on to it also. Really wonderfully done. I hope all of you are still very much tuned in. I hope to see at least 1 or 2 thumbs up to Havovi on her presentation. And let me begin by actually giving you a sort of an understanding why and what exactly is the aim of my presentation also. Reason is because if everybody goes on the internet and everybody basically tries to find a presentation on basically, jobs, everybody gives ideas about, how to basically, obviously create social media, which is very important, including LinkedIn, which is very important. But unfortunately, all the headhunting firms and all the HR corporate managers and also head HRs, unfortunately, headhunting is an art, and even basically sourcing is an art, and people source for positions. People do not source for jobs. So I'm going to teach you, I'm going to train you, and I'm going to show you pointers and tricks on how to source for jobs. So what I'm going to teach you today is completely reverse, so that whichever function you belong to, I'm going to give you an example. And obviously in question answer session, you might even ask me a few questions if we have the time. So I'm going to jump into it right away and show you how to source for your own job. So let us start. Now when it comes to CVs, resumes, to be very honest with you, you can simply find any design you want. Any design under the sun, doesn't matter if it is a blank white page or if it is a colorful page. Obviously it has to have a legible font and it has to be very catchy. The more catchy, the better. If it is not very catchy, at least it should have the simplistic, most efficient reverse chronological order. What is a reverse chronological order? I have seen quite a few resumes in my time, including the ones which are sent to WZCC, wherein people mention their order of their CV, which shows as your first experience on top, and then your later experiences, and then you come to the last experience at the bottom, which is wrong. Completely wrong. Every CV must be in a reverse chronological order, wherein you have your current experience on top, followed by your previous, followed by your prior, followed by previous to previous to previous, and so on. 90% of the people automatically have a reverse chronological order. So I'm sure 90% of you, 95% of you will already have a reverse chronological order. However, when you do have a reverse chronological order, I hope you can see my screen. Is my screen, can you give me a thumbs up, Vistasp, if you can see my screen in terms of not just the PowerPoint, but even the JDs? Great. Okay. So, as you can see over here, I'm going to open up.
No, we can't see the JD.
Okay, you cannot see the JD. You can only see the PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, that's
All
right.
right. New share. Let me see if I can give you a new share. Okay. Can you see this now? Okay, great.
I can see the
So what I'm going to do is, can you see this? Can you see what I'm opening up? Yes. Okay, great. So right now, as you can see over here, the CVs are opening up in front of you. Can you see the CVs? Yes? No. Okay. All right. So let me, in fact, then in that case, quickly narrate. I'll rather narrate exactly what has to be done. So in short, whenever you have a CV, you must see to it that in fact all the KRAs basics like name, age, contact information, address, education, work experience, achievement, personal details, portfolio, language, marital status. Yes, marital status is also important. Reason is not because they want to know if you're single. It is because if your spouse is in the same company. Local geography in terms of if you have a permanent residence, if you are a localite of Nashik, Surat, and let me say there are quite a few applications from even Surat, etc. to WZCC. Hence the reason why if you are in a certain geography or you're open to certain geographies like Bombay, it is important that you must mention it in your CV. Moving on. What is the grassroots problem? The grassroots problem is what people forget, the most important thing. If you have a CV and your CV has not mentioned certain keywords which are matching the job description, what happens is when a headhunter or a recruiter or an average recruiter or even an HR person sitting on Naukri, Monster, Falana Diklana, we all put in basically keywords. And if I put in a keyword, give you an example, there is accounts manager and there is a bookkeeping manager. Now, if I put in a keyword, accounts manager, and you have written in your CV, bookkeeping manager, there is no way in hell that the search engine is going to identify your CV. So your CV is invisible. It is never going to be found and it's never going to come into the limelight, or you can say it won't even come into the section where the poor recruiter at the front end is identifying CVs. So what is important is when you have a job description, you need to quickly look at the designation, look at the various aspects of the key roles, and you need to see that you synonymously put in every possible adjective or every possible copy paste or make it simply a reflection of the JD. Of course, as long as it holds truth, as long as it holds water, as long as obviously you cannot lie. So if you are an accounts manager, and if your company has given you a designation on the appointment letter as bookkeeping manager, but you are an accounts manager, what you must do is in your CV, you write next to it in bracket accounts manager, close bracket. This is a very simple example. I cannot share my other CVs, but in short, if I even talk about legal managers, a lot of legal managers across multinational banks and local banks, there are basically 5 to 6 different sections in legal itself. Major focus is on the business vertical. So if you are a part of a legal team in retail banking, not in corporate banking, obviously you need to mention legal compliance with respect to retail banking, or you can mention retail or wealth management. So every function, there is highly specific things which are there in the JD which you need to identify and see that it is very much present in your CV. Now, The most important thing is people feel that there is an AI, there is an artificial intelligence smart search. Naukri says my search is a smart search. Monster says, "Arey, my search, sir, is even better. It automatically detects synonymous keywords across." Unfortunately, the truth is, the search is only as good as a pilot. So, once you get a JD, take the effort. What is the solution? The solution is, as you can see on the slide, you need to quickly as possible tailor the JD. Look at, in fact, if you go into unique niche roles, it is even much more complicated, but I will quickly run through these examples. Accounts manager, bookkeeping manager, if you're in payable, if you're in receivable, if you're in budgeting, if you're in variance analysis, do not keep a generic KRA. You need to very clearly, very clearly mention budgeting, mention forecasting, mention variance analysis. If you're in legal, you need to mention products like ISDA, your international swaps, derivative agreements, or loans, securities, SCM, supply chain, factoring, any sort of basically products right down to the T. I can show you perhaps maybe the question answer session with the help of Yazdi, but not presently. I will skip forward so I don't miss out on the time. So, as you can see, even an HR person, let's say an HR person is an HR BP, but the HR BP is, she's an HR BP or he's an HR BP for only the corporate or institutional banking, CIB or CBG. If this person does not mention clearly and does not mention certain aspects, even he or she will not be shortlisted for the respective HR role. Now, even if you don't have experience, you can mention in your objectives that I am into HR generalist role, but I want to basically get into HR BP role. Right. So there is a way to get about it. There is a method to madness. Now, I'm going to run through these points, so please bear with me, and I hope you guys are very much awake and not sleeping. Point 1, identify the keywords. Point 2, reconstruct surgery. Reconstruct your KRA. Point 3, never lie. Point 4, weighted keywords concept. This does not exist, at least in the industry. This is a very simple jargon which I have just created, because the best CV, which is an orgasmic CV, is a CV which talks and gives weightage to your keyword. Now, what do I mean by weighted keywords? I mean, for example, someone is basically saying, I am basically running an AUM of 200 crores, but although I'm a wealth manager with 200 crores AUM, he or she has not basically mentioned anything to do with UHNIs or SHNIs, or basically what is the kitty, what is the target, what is your YTD, what is your year on year, what is your insurance, say your insurance industry, what is your GWP, what is your gross weighted premium, right? So the more you mention this, the more evident and automatically your selection chances, your CV gets selected smoothly as possible. Next. Never put your percentages and special. Let's say, for example, there is an example on my screen, team leading. I want to showcase team leading in my CV. I put it into a graph. Great.
Zubin,
when it comes to presentation.
Zubin, your presentation is not visible. You're sharing your other screen.
Oh, okay. Just 1 second. I'll just. Is it visible right now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, wonderful, great. So just to show you earlier, this was the slide which I was talking, slide I'm presently on. Identify keywords, reconstruct your KRA, never lie. Weighted concepts, as you can see clearly here, YOY, YTD, NOP, your net operating profit. If you're into digital marketing, your campaign metrics, what sort of campaigns have you done? If you're into social media marketing, if you're into search engine optimization, SEO, or if you're into basically into SMM, social media marketing, or your LinkedIn, your various sites of your portfolios, your blogs. If you're into coding, you can even basically put up your code. You can put up your code on GitHub. So basically all these things do matter. Now it depends from role to role. So obviously I cannot go into details because it doesn't make sense. Maybe in the Q&A sessions you all can ask me. Whoever does feel like asking. Reason for leaving. Very, very critical. Reason for leaving is so important because if you have a stability issue, you better mention your reason for leaving in advance right underneath the work experience that you are trying to showcase. Definitely avoid writing CTC expectations as if you're encashing the check yourself. People who try to write ridiculous or extremely high CTC expectations do not get a call, or if they get a call, it's a mercy call. When it comes to, as I said, examples, 15% weightage, I have given an example someone has put into a graph. But what happens is, the search engine, any search engine usually most of them, not all of them, they cannot detect keywords if it is in a graph, because they're used to not detecting keywords in a photo. They're used to detecting keywords in a format. So you rather give weightage in the KRA by mentioning I'm leading 21 direct reportees and I've increased the GWP to 30%, 15%, etc., 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 etc. Next, the 5 Pandavs. So sorry, let me just revise. This was why the CV was invisible or is invisible, or maybe you already know yourself, but you may need certain one-on-one consultation with either myself or with a certain industry mentor who can make your CV into a deadly CV with more keywords. Next, 5 Pandavs. Now, what are job hunting strategies? How do you job hunt? How do you source? Not for candidates. How do you source for jobs? Simple. So simple, it's a joke. But as one of my senior colleagues, Mr. Adil Malia, has always said, people have to take effort. People have to take an effort, and you have to sit 4 hours every day. If you do it, great. If you don't do it, you lose out. So, step 1, search engine. Now, everybody tells me, every person who has called me tells me, sir, I already have my CV on the search engine. I already have my CV on the search engine. Then why am I not getting a call? Of course, the reason why you're not getting a call is because your keywords don't match. You don't have someone who basically can guide you with respect to the keywords. But just having your CV on search engine will not do. Between, I think 2008, during the recession, I myself was jobless. And due to me being obviously unemployed, I figured out, and this is the exact guidance which I give every person who calls me on the phone. 1, you go directly into Naukri. Yes, I will need your help. I'm just going to share the screen. Do let me know if my screen is visible. Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. Can you see this? This is Naukri's site. Now, step 1. If I want to basically accounts manager, you simply in the left side of the Naukri search, not waiting for your CV to get a reply or job postings, you go straight away into the Naukri search and you mention accounts manager. Obviously, here you put the location, Bombay. Now, here also the trick is you don't just write Bombay. If you write Bombay, you will get less resumes. You need to put every Bombay possible under the sun. Bombay, Navi Mumbai, Mumbai Devi, Mumbai, Kamot, everything under the sun that is possible. The more the number of actually geography you cover within Bombay itself, the faster you get a bigger set of results. As you can see, I'm highlighting on the screen 2,237 jobs. 2,237, you can minus 50% because 50% of this will be rubbish because they will be positions which are on hold or most likely because of COVID are not active. But you will at least find 50% which is active. Can you see this? Is it very, very clear? Can everyone see this? Yes? Okay, great. Now, when you go into this, you can see at the bottom, hot job, you can see 15 days. Can you see where the pointer is? Target those jobs whose posting is basically only 6 days, 5 days, 15 days, up to 30 days. So, if you have up to 30 days, good to go. 2 days. IndusInd Bank is hiring for a key account manager. Now, I typed in, I'll repeat, I put in accounts manager. But that is the wrong keyword because it is a semantic distortion. When the search engine, so-called very smart search engine, when you put accounts manager, it doesn't look for accounts manager in finance. It looks for any sort of account, sales account, key account manager, any accounts manager. It cannot and will not basically diversify into role-wise. So you obviously mention the role that you are in. Let's say you're an accounting person, so you write accounting. Again, now you can see the result is correct. Accounts executive, accounts payable, accounts payable, accounts payable. Now, if you're not in accounts payable, then what do? Modify your search. If you're into budgeting and finance and forecasting, you mention budgeting. Just mention budget forecasting or budget preparation depending on your role. Boom. you've got profiles with respect to finance on the financial perspective rather than the bookkeeping and the accounts perspective. Now, these are very generic things I'm saying. I'm not going into specifics because each and every one of you will have a different role. And there are hundreds and hundreds of roles. Look at the left side. You can choose the location if you're in Surat, if you're in Bhavnagar, if you're in Gujarat, if you're in Bombay, if you're in Timbuktu. As you can see over here, you can also clearly put in the experience. Doesn't matter if you have 2 years experience, if you have 3 years experience, automatically it will flow. Now, point one, Naukri gives 50 applications you can apply, 50 jobs you can apply to on a day-to-day basis. So let me get this straight. If you identify as per the experience, I'll repeat, never apply if your experience is not up to mark. If it says 0 to 3 years, apply when it is 0 to 3 years. If you are falling in that bracket, if you have, let's say, 5 to 7 years and your experience is 4.11, you can apply. If it is 4.9, you can apply. If it is 4.7, 4.6, no use applying. Because the minimum is usually hardcore threshold minimum. So in a job description or in an application, if a job posting, if it is very clearly mentioned, try to apply as per the experience, as per the job dates, as per the CTC, and obviously do not worry much about the grade, because you see the grades differ. The grading system in Ernst & Young's, for example, for a manager will be 12, 15, 20 lakhs, while when it comes to a manager in IndusInd Bank, it will be 6 lakhs, or a Tata, it will be 7 lakhs. Okay, so what happens is the grading should not be the indicator. What should be the indicator is the experience, the CTC, the relevant experience, the role, and more importantly, you obviously need the basics like location, etc. Step 2. This is just Naukri, where you can apply 50 openings in one day. So if you sit home and you're jobless, and if you basically filter at least 5 jobs every day, that will take you at least half an hour on Naukri. Okay, 5 into basically 6 days. That is 30 job applications a week. 30 job applications into 4, 120 job applications. If someone comes and tells me out of 120 job applications, someone is not getting a call for an interview, please call me. Because something is wrong with you. Either you have a very, very poor stability, or there are certain conditions like age that are not matching. But this is a surefire, better way to basically move ahead in life. Next, IIM jobs. Again, okay, before I continue, I will confirm Naukri, Monster, Indeed, Shine. Now, Naukri is number 1, Monster, Indeed is number 2, Monster and Shine is number 2, Indeed is number 4. Next is the social media strategy. So, I'm going to again share with you this slide of mine. Right? Can you see the slide? Is my PowerPoint, can you see it? No, I guess you can't. Okay. Okay, now can you see it? Okay. So here we can see that 1 is search engines. 2, alternate channels. What are alternate channels? Alternate channels are basically nothing but different employment bureaus, which in the olden days we had employment bureaus. Nowadays, the employment bureaus become a digital employment bureau on your website. So there are employment bureaus like Fidanto, or you can say digital websites where you can apply and on all these different jobs. LinkedIn, Facebook, the social media part. Such employment bureaus like Fidanto, Workable, Parallel Desk, IIM Jobs. All of these are as good as employment bureaus. So what do you do? Before I change the slide, I'm going to finish this slide. Social media hacking. Now, when I say social media hacking, I don't mean you actually have to go into the command section of the social media and put your own HTML or a PHP script. I'm referring to basically that common sense. Okay, I want each of you basically identify the respective job. Once you identify the respective job in IIM, in LinkedIn, there is always on the left side or the right side or the corner, there is written over there the name of the respective HR or the name of the respective consultant and the email ID or the contact. Pick the name and connect on LinkedIn. From what Havovi says, if you have a wonderful smile and if you basically are on LinkedIn, and obviously if you have written well your LinkedIn profile, he or she will connect with you. Or you can at least apply to the postings. So I'm going to move fast. Please do pay attention because we're running out of time. Next, the direct kill. The direct kill hunter. Now, what is a direct kill approach? The direct kill approach is when you basically, let's say I want a job in HDFC Bank. I directly call the corporate office of HDFC Bank. I would like to speak to the HR manager or the talent acquisition or the recruitment manager in charge of Bombay. No one is going to basically not put you through. The reception will put you through to the regional HR or will put you through to with respectively to the corporate HR. Now, if the HR person is a junior and says, I'm not sure who's handling recruitment, please take the respective HR person's email ID. And obviously, you don't need to harrow the HR. You just simply need to request, may I take, ma'am, your email ID and simply request, this is the sort of opening that I'm looking for. So I would like to send my CV to you. And to be very fair with you, have been for years as a regional HR, zonal HR and a national talent acquisition HR person all my life, every time someone basically called me directly on the corporate line, I don't mean to say that you come unannounced. You cannot go unannounced to the company, but you can at least call. And if you call, the HR person is sure, send me your CV on my email ID. And he will give you your professional email ID or she will give you a professional email ID. But if you face resistance, simply request, can I request if you can put me in touch with whoever is in charge of the regional role or the corporate role. If the person is not aware also, I would like to park my CV with you so that post-COVID, when the positions open up or any other position opens up, I would like to stay in touch with you. There is a way. There is a certain way to go about it. But it is possible and we do it and many people have done it. You need to know how to get it done. Next, mobile applications. Mobile applications is very, very simple and very, very easy, but also at the same time, it's all about speed of application. Because WhatsApp groups circulate, but are very important. There are a lot of openings which are on WhatsApp groups right now, which is the most powerful mobile application. You need to apply on the respective job as soon as possible. Unfortunately, a lot of people forward these postings. They don't really check that this is a LinkedIn posting. But even if it is a LinkedIn posting, you can go to LinkedIn and you can apply it. Right. Now, before I continue, I need to quickly move because I will lose out time. Before I move to the next slide, okay, this shows Naukri Monster Shide. This shows, as you can see, how to hunt. You need to put in the respective keywords, tailor your CV. You need to have not one CV for all. One CV does not fit all. You need to have certain CVs for certain job descriptions if you're doing the role. And only if you are basically executing those KRAs. Alternate channels, as you all can see, LinkedIn, IMJobs, Visby, Fidanto, Workable, Parallel Desk, Tribachco, Commerce Dunia, Asan Jobs, Nuvo, Job Rapido, and there are lots and lots and lots of more. Social media, as I have said, you need to basically connect with all, not just old colleagues and alumni, but you need to also obviously see that you're very much in touch with the respective people who are posting the job. People who are posting the jobs. Okay, next. Okay, before I'm just going to give you a revision. As you can see in this, we'll take all your questions perhaps a little bit later. Let me finish the presentation because that will be much better. Otherwise, you will miss out on the most important part. But I'm going to revise what are the important observations. People are on these channels. They feel that they have actually put their CV up, but they are not getting calls because that is the wrong approach. You will get calls. No one is saying you will not get calls. You will get irrelevant calls also. It depends again on what you mention in the CV or on the person who cannot identify your role and cannot match your role correctly, perhaps. But at the end of the day, you need to put in the right keywords in the search. Be wise, you go role wise. Filter as per the date of posting, see the number of applicants, details of the HR or the consultant, connect with them on LinkedIn, tailor your CV, send it across. Now, before we go ahead, and I will go back to the most important slide because I haven't actually been able to really give you much of the display. Okay, here we go. This is the, where is it? Right. Can you all see this? Are we back on IMJobs? Right. Now in IMJobs, unfortunately, the filter is not that powerful compared to the others, but you can see over here, you can choose if you're into any of these banking, finance or sales jobs, or consulting jobs, or HR jobs, IT jobs, SCM jobs, legal jobs, BPO courses, doesn't really matter. Now, Same here, you can look by relevance. Let's say, for example, we are looking at, let's say, digital marketing. Right, so what you can do is you can obviously see the number of jobs which are right here, and please note the date. Please note these dates. These are 8th of August. These are all mixed. People ask, sir, there are no jobs. I say, I'm sorry, there are jobs. There are a lot of jobs. Is the question is, can you search for the correct job? You need to search for the respective jobs. As you can see over here, let's say, for example, again, we go into banking. No, we go into, let's say, a sales marketing job. Forget that also. We'll go into online marketing jobs. Very powerful. A lot of digital openings which are going on. So as you can see over here, these are marketing jobs, not necessarily digital. You can see over here experience, you can see over here location, and you can filter as per the same. I'm just giving you a demo. Okay. Once you obviously go into the same, let's say you click on this, you see on the side over here, Meenakshi. She is from a hiring consultant from a firm. Can you note this? I would copy Meenakshi, push it into my Facebook or my LinkedIn, and I will connect with her apart from applying directly. Right? Let's say, for example, I want to see corporate sales jobs. I go into corporate sales jobs, I see DTDC. I check DTDC, I can see that she is the corporate HR manager, Ishita Moria. Directly, you can apply to Ishita Moria. Ishita will be very happy if she finds that you have connected on your own, and not only through posting, but you've also checked with her on Facebook or on LinkedIn. She will definitely reply, because HR people are there to serve the company. HR people will be happy if they get a free source, a free person coming to you without a consultant is in fact a plus point for them. So they will happily reply to you. You should never have an inhibition when it comes to approaching the HR. Last, now Facebook. Facebook also has jobs. In the home section, on your left side, you can directly go into the jobs briefcase. In this also, you can directly see the number of jobs posted. And these are being again posted by a lot of organizations directly. You can see on here again there is a different style. Everyone has a different style, but you all are user friendly, so I'm sure you can easily click on whatever you think is best and you can search for the respective job. Right? If it doesn't match, you move to the next. LinkedIn. Again, LinkedIn is very, very powerful. Every company is on LinkedIn. Every company is posting on LinkedIn. All my clients are posting on LinkedIn. So obviously LinkedIn is again a huge benefit. Again, search by title and company. Again, you can choose whatever you want. If you put accounts manager, it's semantic distortion. You need to put exactly what you want. Accounting, let's say for example the skill is budgeting, or let's say for example the skill is forecasting, and then obviously you put in over here Bombay. Again, you choose as many Bombays as possible, the better the results. Again, as you can see, various ways. Another very nice thing, because a lot of people from MICE in WZCC who have applied. So, people from MICE, for example, who are basically in travel and tourism, because travel and tourism has been effective largely. Can you see when I put MICE over here, there is an opening 2 months ago, 14 applicants. Can I see here 2 hours ago, some MBA with intern? Of course, you need to see if it is matching. This is Suryoday Tours and Travels, Business Development Executive. Of course, if it is more 4 months, 2 months ago, means most likely if it is more than a month ago, the position is on hold due to COVID. But you can still stay in touch with the respective person. Okay, let me now move. Achha, let's say for example, Suryoday Tours, you do not have the person name on this LinkedIn, you are not able to find it. What will you do? Ask me in the question answer session. Okay, next, Google. Very important. If you can't, and if you don't know about Fidanto and Workable and Parallel and IM Jobs, what do? Simple. Use Google. HDFC Bank, for example. Job. Any company. And you will find there are more than hundreds of jobs for these large companies. Let's say I want HDFC Bank accounts. Again, accounting. Again, as you can mention over here, auditor, there is obviously a lot of accounts executive. Can you see this? Bingo. Accounts executive, accounts payable. There you go. Someone says, I cannot find a job. I mean, look at this. The posting is 23 days ago. right? So Google is so powerful, so powerful. You don't even need to go to these job sites sometimes. Now, last and most important, let me go back to the slide. I think we're almost out of time. Let me just quickly finish this off as soon as possible. I'm going to show you the most important thing, which is in fact what freshers need to do. It is very, very important, so please pay attention. A lot of people who are basically not freshers, you need to understand that there are 5 important criteria which you all know about: role, stable, experience, and stability is very important. If any of you by any chance have poor stability, you need to correct it. People make mistakes. People have made mistakes. I've made mistakes. And I know very well the truth is the key. Whenever we shortlist for senior VP, VP, AVP, managers, even if it comes to a deputy manager, assistant manager, everybody wants a person who is stable in a company. Okay. And I will explain perhaps later, but stability is an advantage to you. Is an advantage to you. I will explain later, but it's very important that you have to be stable for minimum 3 years or 4 years. Next, averagely you should aim for 3 years or 4 years minimum. If not, we will talk about it, right? Next is, as you can very clearly see over here, the key to getting called for interviews is stability. Okay, and more importantly, okay, my mouse is hanging, so just hold on a second. All right, yes. All right, can everybody see this last slide? Okay, great. So, when it comes to basically freshers, for God's sake, do your MBA or do your CA. Even if you don't have the money, even if you do have the money, you can still at least afford a tier 3 MBA. Now, what is a tier 1? What is a tier 2? What is a tier 3? Any organization which is a large corporate, any organization development expert, or perhaps a great structuring expert, or anyone who has done fitments, pure fitments in talent acquisition will be able to guide you. All these organizations, ICICI, Tata, Bajaj, HDFC, Axis, all the multinational clients I have, everyone in the banking and financial industry at least, and IT, they all have a specific fitment. A graduate normally, when you finish your graduation and you work for 2 years, it is equal to an MBA. Why? Because the fresher who basically, instead of working for 2 years, has basically invested his time and energy full time and done an MBA. And because of that basic logic, hence the reason why an MBA with 2 years is equal to a graduate fresher. Sorry, a graduate fresher with 2 years is equal to an MBA fresher. A graduate with 4 years is equal to an MBA with 2. A graduate with 6 is equal to an MBA with 4. This is when it comes to a normal MBA which a person can do for 2.5, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, as long as he does a full or she does a full-time MBA. CA. CA is even more powerful. CA is very powerful degree. If you are a CA, first attempt, that is if you pass your CA in the first attempt, it is a tier 1. If you pass CA second attempt, it is usually considered as tier 2. And if it is multi-attempt or multi-attempt, basically multi-attempt is nothing but tier 3. Now, again, what is the weightage? What is the concept? If you are an MBA from a big college, not as in terms of the campus, but in terms of the ranking which is there with the respective organization. So, for example, Tata says that yes, we also take Narsi Monji, but we take Narsi Monji, let's say for example, or NL Dalmia might be in their tier 3 instead of a tier 2. So, although certain organizations will take it as tier 2, some will take it as tier 3. That depends on the policy from company to company. But nonetheless, all MBAs like IIMs, SCMHRD, and there is obviously Faculty of Management Studies, FMS Delhi, and there are various Amity Business School, ICFA Hyderabad. All of these institutions are actually in tier 1 or tier 2 category. If you do it from tier 1, it is equal to a grad with 6 years experience. So your starting salary is usually 6 lakhs, 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, depending on the campus. Right? So, if you have any sort of thought that, listen, I have 2 years experience, dear sir, I don't think it is now, I'm not interested, not in the mood of studying. Unfortunately for you, the fact is that every time we do senior level openings as a headhunting firm, we have been always informed we want someone from XLRI only. We want someone from IIM only. We want from tier 1 or tier 2 campuses only for certain openings. Especially when it comes to CEO levels, CEO levels, unless you are an SME. I repeat, unless you are an SME, subject matter expert. So in digital media, which is fantastic, people with even graduate with even 4 years in digital media are getting salaries of 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs because they are doing excellent work. The portfolio itself speaks volumes. Or you are in actuarial science with licensure or fellowship, or you've completed all your CT papers. That's again a very highly technical role. If you are into actuarial sciences, you'll be picked up, and within 3 to 4 years, you'll be sitting at 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs. Right? So it depends again on the technical role, what sort of a subject matter expert are you? Lastly, and most important, if each of you goes to Naukri Monster, Shine, Indeed, and not just put your CV up there. If you basically search every day, plus you go to basically Google and Fidanto and all these jobs and search for at least 5 postings every day. There are 10 sites I have explained. If you do 50 postings a day into 7 or even 6, that is nothing less than 50 into 6, that's 300 postings in a week. If you apply correctly, wisely, even to 2 postings a day, okay, for even 5 sites, 10 into 7 or 10 into 5, that is still 50. Automatically your chances, the law of average works. But as one of my senior colleagues have always said, it depends if we want to put in the effort, or do we want to wait for someone to call us. Happy hunting. I wish you the best to source for your own job. Vistasp, back to you. I'm not able to hear you.
You're on mute, Vistasp.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Zubin. But I think most of the participants have already run and started looking into LinkedIn because there are not many questions have come in. However, a few have, and I would like to put them to you all. Can you state as to why is it important to be stable in a job? Zubin?
Yes. How important it is? See, there is a life cycle. What happens is every organization.
Stop your sharing, please.
Okay, sure. I'll just stop the sharing. Am I audible?
Yes. Go ahead.
Great. So, if you can repeat the question, I think the question is about stability. What was the question exactly?
Why is it important?
In fact, I can.
Why is it important to be stable in a job?
See, the most important thing is actually whenever any manager, be it a regional manager, be it a HR manager, in fact, the reason why we all look at stability is because whenever we are basically hiring for a corporate or the corporate company is hiring, we want people who are stable because you need to stay in the same role because there will be training, there will be certain trade secrets, there will be clients which will be given across to you. So to maximize your ROI, basically to maximize your 5 times your CTC, which is the normal benchmark when you're looking at a profitable branch, is basically 3x, 5x, 10x, which is obviously going to only justify over a 3-year period from the corporate point of view. But when it comes to the candidate point of view, and sorry to say, but yes, selfishly, let me tell each of you, you all should be more happy to stay back in a company regardless of how khadus the boss is. Okay, because tomorrow when it comes to shortlisting, they will need one with 1 year stability. No one is going to shortlist your CV if you have even 1 year, 2 year, 1 year, 2 year. You can kiss your career goodbye. Okay. However, if it does happen It does happen. It has happened with myself and my colleagues. So I know sometimes when you get a certain boss and you cannot manage the show and you want to still correct your stability, then what do you do? So I think there is a message which I have got while Vistasp you asked me from Sarosh. Okay, how does one address the stability issue when you already have less stability? There is a way. One of the methods is basically it depends on how genuine the reason is. Let's say, for example, sometimes the process is shifted from Bombay to Bangalore. Sometimes, let's say, for example, the position there was a glass ceiling. Because perhaps there was a possibility the revenue did not happen because of certain reasons. But whatever the genuine reasons, and I don't mean fake reasons, okay, my auntie died, so I left for 2 months and I never came back to the company. Okay, so I'll repeat, if it's a genuine reason, and then you need to discuss with either the headhunter like myself and put it into directly into the experience underneath the title of the respective role wherein you lost your because your CV will never get shortlisted unless you basically identify you take on the challenge head on. So take the challenge on head on. So what I'm trying to say is that let's say for example your CV has 1 year, then 2 years, then 1 year. First, try to put in the reason why you left for 2 years, put a genuine reason. And second, when you get a call from the recruiter, request, I'll put a mail across to you, please do mention or please do forward this to the respective hiring manager, the business, right? And thirdly, again, as I said, the reason has to be extremely very specific. So it is better that you discuss with the recruiter or the headhunter. Do not hide. If you hide, the reference check agencies are common. So a reference check agency for an X company might be the reference check agency for a Y company. So you can get caught.
Okay, Mr. Mehta is asking.
Just one tip. This is just one tip.
How does one use entrepreneurship experience for the purpose of applying to an opening? A lot of HRs seem to look at this as a negative. Havovi, would you like to take it?
Sure, I could take that. So we are talking here about an entrepreneur who wants to come back into the corporate space. Have I understood it right?
Right. Right.
So I would have agreed if we were talking about this a few years ago, that yes, corporates were not very open to looking at entrepreneurs coming back. But I think the scenario has changed drastically. If there's a person who has tried to set up an entrepreneurial venture and for whatever reason it has not worked, it would be great if he can explain how his skills can add value to the job that he's applying to and how the corporate can benefit from his knowledge and his expertise. And that, I think, would be the way to share how he can make a difference to that organization and the role. But as far as the openness comes, I think that organizations and the corporate world is far more open now to giving entrepreneurs opportunities to come back. So that should not be a concern. You should only be able to explain well what you have learned in this entire journey and how you can use it in your corporate career. That's what I'd like to say.
Zubin, would you like to add?
No, not at all actually, because see, entrepreneurship is great. Mostly corporates no, I would rather move to the next question. Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Okay. How does one, no, I'm sorry. How do additional skills add value to the CV and multiply industry exposure of the CV help to process of employment? Zubin, would you take that?
Sure, happily. Yeah, if you can repeat it, that'll be great.
Okay. How do additional skills and value add to the value to the CV and multiple industry exposure on a CV help the process of employment?
Okay, great, wonderful. So, see, when it comes to key skills, unfortunately, everybody has been already wired. That's the problem. Everybody has a perception which initially started off, and everyone keeps following the same convention. That's the problem. You see, honestly, when it comes to key skills, if it is freshers, I can understand if they write team leading, team building, and all that. Fine, that is great. But when it comes to a person who is a professional, who has already has 7-8 years experience or 15-20 years experience, then you need to know how to tailor yourself. For example, I'll have to share this with you. I'll have to share the screen with you. Just give me a minute. I'll give you a live example. Okay. Can you see the screen? Is it visible?
Not yet. Huh. Okay.
Is it visible?
Okay.
Great. Wonderful. This is an opening for a corporate manager and central sales support, which is also, by the way, known as a PMO department and a sales strategy department in various organizations. However, this certain organization that I cannot name has decided to call the designation central sales. Now, what happens is there are a lot of sometimes organizations which will have different department names like strategy. But the key role, for example, you can see over here is to prepare strategy and sales campaigns. So if your key skills is wherein you are into similar to the JD, let's say sales campaigns, or you are into, let's say, for example, MIS Advanced Excel. VLOOKUP, for example, is the most powerful, one of the most sought after technical skills which is required by every management, every you can say white collar job. If you are even in HR, we require VLOOKUP. At least if you are into head of TA, you need to basically pull out reports, or be it any job. So the bottom line is, when you are looking at basically certain key skills, you see the JD, if you see that, listen, here it is mentioned sales campaigns, you should open up your own CV. Let's say, for example, and you have a column, or let's say if you have a row. I'm going to open up one more sample CV for you all. Okay, can you see the CV right now, Vistasp? Core competencies, can you see this? I'm highlighting in yellow. Can you see this?
Yes, please.
Yeah, great. So can you see what this person has written? Strategic marketing, capacity management, marketing analysis, training need assessment. No, not at all. This is not what would have actually ever shortlisted. This CV would never get shortlisted. Rather, in fact, if this person had very clearly mentioned sales, she has mentioned luckily in the KRA sales driving campaign. What she should rather do is she should take the JD's key points and push it into the key skills which is actually matching the JD. So the trick is, I would rather look at my JD, look at the key skills in the JD, and then push it into my CV. Okay, so I'm going to share one last slide with you so you can see a practical again experience over here. Just give me a second. Okay, can you see over here? I would rather write key skills. Yes, keywords in core competencies. I would mention core competencies as strategy, sales support, experience, or central support, R&R. But I will keep it as R&R design, or able to design R&R. You got to know how to play with words. Able to design R&R and rewards and recognitions, as you can see, or contests and campaigns. Now this whole thing becomes a point which I can basically put into my core competency, and it matches the JD also, right? So there is generic JD and there is tailoring JD. How you tailor your JD and you tailor your skills to the specific requirement. Class software, the technical software you're using. Are you basically using Android? Are you basically using, or are you using, let's say, in fund settlement, in mutual fund operations? Are you using basically a Marketplace software? Or are you using basically a Genesis software? Again, those skills, technical and soft skills, both need to be mentioned.
Okay, thanks.
I hope that answers.
The next question is, there was a mention of X years full-time experience for graduates. What if the individual has been working while studying? How do you suggest the candidates position himself or herself? For example, freelancing. I leave it to both of you to comment on it. Go ahead.
It's Havovi's turn.
Would you like to, Havovi?
Mute. I think you're on mute.
Havovi, we can't hear you.
Do I need to stop sharing? Yazdi, can I request if you can help Yaha Havovi?
Zubin, go ahead for the time being. She'll join us later.
Sure, sure. Can you repeat the question again?
Okay. There was a mention of X years full-time experience for graduates. What if the individual has been working while studying?
Got it. I got it. So see, basically what happens is, I also agree with you. You can work if you want. If you want to earn money, I can understand, but I will strictly say do not work if you're doing your graduation. It is a big mistake. Once you get the chaska of money, everybody does the same mistake. And they don't even pursue the MBA. Again, I'm saying, if what has gone wrong with the Parsi community is we have decided to basically not let our progeny do important courses like MBA, CA, CFA, CA. We need to encourage them at every cost. The reason why some people are right now CEOs is because we all, including myself, we have done our institutions and certifications. Now, if you've done your experience and you have experience in graduation, you can tailor it, because what happens is after graduation you take a 1 year CAT, CET, autonomous exams, join an MBA. Doesn't matter if it's a tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3, and later post MBA when the campus comes to recruit you, you automatically, let's say for example, have HR experience. So post MBA, when you have that HR experience or a headhunting experience or an accounting experience or a sales experience, you choose the subject in MBA if you want it, if you like it, and automatically it will not give you paper weightage. It will not give you paper weightage. There is no fitment in any corporate can give you paper weightage, except maybe BPOs. Okay, but there is no paper weightage, but the interviewer, he will usurp you. He will usurp you because you are obviously ahead of the competition. Still, do not try to avoid working during your graduation. Focus on, unless you're an LLB again into a certain specific course, because in LLB also normally they don't ask for marks in legal profiles. They ask only when it comes to very senior level opening. Sometimes 60% is minimum. So focus on your studies, and if you have it, you can use it during the campus interview to get a great job.
Well, we are running
My mic is back on and I'm really excited to share my view on this one. May I please?
Yes, please go ahead.
And it's going to be contrary to what Zubin said. Please allow me to present my contrarian view here. So if you look at my profile, I did my MBA in finance. I was in business development for a long time, moved into learning and development, and then HR. I'd really like to request everyone to look at their career as their lifetime of working. If you look at the overall perspective, my recommendation to people is to do an MBA when you know what you want to study further. So I like to tell young people who ask my advice, at least to work for a couple of years, try different roles within the organization, see what you're attracted towards, and then use your 2 years of MBA more valuably. You will learn a lot more, you will gain a lot more when you know what the corporate world is all about. You will know what it needs, and you will be able to place a lot of weightage on that education that is given to you and its relevance to what you want to do in the future. That's all I wanted to say.
So I'll add on, because see what happens is if you're doing your graduation and your experience is there, there is no fitment. As I showed you the slide, the corporate grading structure, there is no fitment. But let me add on to Havovi, if you have between graduate and MBA, if you basically have 2 years experience, to add on to what Havovi is saying, try your hands in sales, which I also did, or try your hands in basically, let's say BPO, but just don't get a chaska of money. Okay, because once you get a chunk of money, tomorrow, 7 years later down the line, when you want to become a head of a department or you want to get into an AVP or VP with a large organization like HDFC and ICICI or Kotak, they will not select you. So please do what Havovi is saying, gain experience, but let me tell you the fitment. Pre-MBA, most of the organizations which I'm dealing with, they half your experience. Okay, I'll repeat. So let's say, for example, grad plus 2 years plus MBA plus 4 years is equal to 4 plus 1, not 4 plus 2. Right. So what happens is still it gives you weightage, but if it is again, it depends again on, they will take you weightage, depends on the company's fitment and policy.
Okay. We are running short of time, so we will stop there, even though there are a lot of questions. I want to thank Zubin and Havovi for this presentation. There was a lot to be covered, and I hope that we will be able to come back and pick your brains.
Before we sign off, Vistasp, let me tell all of you, okay, also SMEs, large corporates, forget large corporates. There are a lot of lovely small and medium enterprises, mid enterprises, who, as what Havovi is saying, if you have good experience, even while a graduate or an MBA, they do not follow policies which are similar to the large corporates. So when it comes to policy design, it depends again on the organization you're targeting.
Right.
So be everywhere. Don't just apply to only large corporates.
Well, thank you, Zubin and Havovi, for this enlightening talk, and more so your advice and guidance to those who need it. Appreciate you both taking your time out to talk to us. I would also like to thank the youth of WZCC for doing a selfless job and organizing these Zoom webinars and helping our community. Thank you everyone who attended this webinar. Have a good night and good morning to people in America and Europe. Bye for now.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
Thank you, WZCC, for providing a platform.
And thank you to everyone for staying till the end and listening so patiently. Signing off. Bye-bye.